My name is Penny Lee, President and CEO of the Financial Technology Association. We are thrilled to partner here with Semafor to bring you today's event. We represent leaders in the financial technology industry, including many of the companies that you have seen on stage today and will continue throughout the day this morning. These are the companies that are powering our digital financial infrastructure and expanding access to vital services. And as our lives become more digital, it is critical that we modernize our financial services and regulations so more people can benefit from these responsible innovations. And as you've heard today from some of the speakers already, especially from the regulator perspective, how can we create that right balance? How can we create the balance needed for safety and soundness while allowing innovation to thrive and to continue? So earlier this week, as Bennett alluded to and others, we announced, and I have a copy on all your seats, the Future of Finance Policy Agenda. We urge you to take a look as it lays out the map, the blueprint of how we think the U.S. regulatory system, some policies that we would encourage policymakers to adopt, to be able to put the U.S. On a pathway for innovation, on a way that allows these new financial technologies to be able to thrive. As we know, 8 out of 10 Americans right now use a financial digital product, and we want to ensure that that innovation continues to flourish. And so we encourage you to take a look, read it, and we will be happy to engage with you in a variety of different ways. So today, right now, I get to introduce 2 more wonderful FTA members who are going to come in a dialogue, and that is Jen Taylor, President of Plaid, who will be in conversation with Jennifer Kuperman, Chief Corporate Officer of Chime.
Hello, Jennifer.
How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank
Good.
you. How are you?
Thanks, you guys, for being here, and thanks to Semafor and FTA for hosting us. 2 Jennifers in Fintech. Always 2 Jennifers, usually 27 Jennifers,
Always.
as they say. We are not Fintech lifers, though.
No.
So would you say that you're not a Fintech lifer? Tech lifer?
I'm a tech lifer. I'm 5 months into my journey in Fintech. If I had known how interesting and exciting and fun Fintech was, I would have done it earlier.
Years ago.
Years ago.
Okay,
It's
I feel similarly. It's a good space to be, and hearing the speakers earlier today makes me even more excited for the things that we can do.
Yeah, the opportunity to have impact.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right, so you, as you mentioned, you're 5 months into a new job at Plaid as president of the company. You're hot off your customer conference, it sounds like. So tell us what's going on. What are you thinking about? What are you learning about? What's happening?
Yeah. So I have to say, there's no better way to start a new job than diving in and spending time with your customers and consumers, because it's those are really the true north, right? That's what we're here for. And so it was a wonderful opportunity and privilege to have time to talk with customers and consumers in the conversations we had. For consumers, choice and control. It comes back to choice and control time and time again, and our responsibility to unlock that in ways that are easy and safe for them and for the services they rely on. But just to back up for a second, because I know what Plaid is, but other people may not.
Great.
So, at Plaid, we power the digital financial technology ecosystem by providing the infrastructure that enables services and individuals to connect their financial accounts to digital finance. So we provide the services, for example, that enable you to connect your bank account to Venmo in a simple and easy way. And so for us, these kinds of conversations and really diving into that journey with consumers is so fun.
And just for background, Chime, for those of you who don't know, is the #1 most loved banking app that provides everyday kind of basic banking services that are free, simple, transparent to everyday consumers. And everyday consumers are the 60+% of Americans who live paycheck to paycheck or are making under $100,000. So just so you know who we are. But you've spent, as you said earlier, you've spent the majority of your career in tech. So now talk about this transition to Fintech, and how does it apply?
Yeah. So I've been working in tech pretty much my entire career, but most recently I was the chief product officer at Cloudflare, where we focus on building a network and creating connectivity and security for cloud services. And it's been phenomenal to sort of roll that forward into Fintech, because it feels to me there are kind of two things I'm able to bring with me. The first is just the importance of building out and being a steward of that underlying network, that connectivity. But then the other is really understanding and how important and how dynamic security is in this environment. And so it's been phenomenal to be able to bring some of those perspectives into the conversations I'm having now. But man, I'm learning a lot too.
And the security piece is
so big,
I know we'll talk about that, but it just feels like it's the underpinning of all of it for us to get it right, regardless of what company you're in. I also learned that you recently released, maybe as a part of your customer conference, your survey called the Fintech Effect, which I now need to get my hands on, which looks at how consumers are benefiting and using financial services and financial tools. So can you share a little bit of the insights that you guys learned from that? And does that give you an insight into kind of the state of fintech generally or state of consumer?
Yeah, I have to say reading that report, especially as I'm just sort of getting started here at Plaid, was so exciting, right? Because it's just, first and foremost, we came out with the sentiment that fintech is here. And it's here to stay. If you just look at the rate of adoption and use of fintech applications by consumers, it's increasingly growing. Today at Plaid, 8 in 10 Americans engage with and connect to at least one Plaid-powered service in their daily lives. So
8 of 10.
8 of 10. So it just gives you a sense of sort of what that adoption is. And so it's not surprising then that consumer use of these services is also growing as we see it. And the thing that was really, really meaningful to me was seeing that the adoption of these services is really starting to sort of level out or sort of become more equitable across different socioeconomic and demographic groups. That you're seeing people from all walks of life really embrace fintech for how they engage, whether it's managing your stock portfolio or using a fintech app to connect with and apply for affordable housing. And so it's been phenomenal to me to sort of see that sort of depth of integration. But then I think the final thing, and it kind of ties to what we're just talking about, was the overwhelming sentiment of growing trust in fintechs and the security of those systems. And that is not something, to the conversation we're just having, that I take lightly, right? Like that is something that is a responsibility and an obligation for us as technologists to continue to invest in and provide those solutions.
Do you, I just want to ask a question about the demographics. So we see a similar thing at Chime from a demographic standpoint. So more and more usage of our products, whether it's a younger demographic or people in banking deserts not close to a physical infrastructure of a bank, or there's so many different versions thereof, and so that's where the proliferation of fintech is coming, and done in a responsible way can actually change the lives of those individuals and change the industry. And I think it's the cumulative effect of these companies that are doing that. So I'm very glad to hear you say that.
Well, and there's also a generational component too.
True.
I mean, we used to use checks, remember?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Neither does my 20-year-old son.
I know, isn't it amazing?
He's like called me from college. He's like, I have to put a deposit down on an apartment. And I'm like, great. He's like, I used Plaid to file the application. I'm like, right on. And he's like, but I have to write a check to put the deposit down.
He had no checks.
He's like, I don't know where my checks are. And I'm like, well, here, this is right there. And he's like, how do you write a check? And I'm like,
oh my God.
I'm like, there's a YouTube. Just check YouTube. There's a video.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's amazing, but it is. I mean, you're right. Generationally, we're moving away from it, so we better get it right. Is kind of more the piece. Director Chopra talked about, and actually everybody on stage has talked about open banking.
Yes.
And the importance of 1033 rule. Can you talk a little bit about that and how it relates to Plaid and what you guys are doing?
Yeah, we're really excited about open banking, and we're really excited about 1033 becoming policy. We've been advocates of open banking since our inception. At the core of it, what we believe open banking is striving to do is to give consumers more control and choice over how they manage their financial lives, and to create an ecosystem around them that has a level of responsibility and accountability to that. And so we're really excited to see it come into law. We're excited to see things like API standards and things like that, things that I grew up with in my prior roles in the web standards community, really coming to the forefront to enable that connectivity in a way that is more seamless and will allow us to continue to expand the universe of services that can connect. So whether I'm connecting to my bank or whatever, but we think open banking is like just the beginning. Like for us, I think the hope is that digital banking is the first step towards open banking is the first step towards open finance. That like we fundamentally believe, as we were just talking about, that more and more of consumers' financial lives and the financial interactions that they're going to have are going to come online. One of the things we talk about at Plaid is that we do fundamentally believe that every company will become a fintech company.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what does that mean? It means they're integrating digital banking services into their platform to enable their customers to transact more securely and more easily. And so roll that forward, just as you were mentioning a moment ago, of sort of that banking deserts, affordable housing, all of these things are in the future, and I'm excited about what could be possible with open finance as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And so you guys are pushing beyond open banking to get to this open finance concept in the not so far future, I think you would say. Director Chopra said at the beginning, he said something like, a lot of fintech companies are putting the tech on the fin in order to drive up valuations or whatever else. That may be true, but I think for our two companies and for a lot of the fintechs out there, it's really about how do you responsibly add that technology element to financial services to get to the democratization of any kind of financial services. Less about the company and its valuation, more about like what it allows for a consumer and for the industry.
And that's work that we have to do together, right?
I agree.
And I come back to my point earlier around security. Like security is a team sport. And it's something that we have to kind of come together and work together on. At Plaid, we have a variety of different services. We have digital identity verification. We have an anti-fraud consortium that makes it possible for people to share these insights. We leverage the signals that we see across our network to help identify potentially fraudulent transactions. But that is a small sliver and needs to be done in concert with a broader community. And so again, I pick up that mantle around security to build that trust and to really be stewards of the customer.
I mean, I guess piling on to that, what do you see as the financial services industry's roles in ensuring safety and security overall? So like, do we play an industry role? Is that us as companies? How do you see that evolving?
I mean, I think it's all hands on deck.
Yeah.
Honestly, yes, that's it. And this is where I, again, have been excited about the work that we've seen in the open banking space, because you really have seen the opportunity for technologists, for financial institutions, for policymakers, for consumers to come around the table and have a robust dialogue of what is the problem we're trying to solve together here, and like how do we roll up our sleeves?
Yeah, and it goes back to all the years in tech that you've had. It's not net new.
Yeah. But you've been very gracious in giving me a chance to talk about Plaid, but I want to spend a couple minutes here talking about Chime. Because the work that you guys do.
I'm the moderator.
Your name is Jennifer.
Yes, exactly.
There you go. Tell us a little bit more about kind of how you at Chime are thinking about open banking and how you think it may change the ecosystem for you. What opportunities does it create?
I think, good question. So Chime was created right after the financial crisis, and it was our two founders, Chris Britt and Ryan King, had this aha that traditional banking was not well serving everyday Americans, and the punitive fees and some of the traditional ways of operating was never going to serve it. It was serving people with higher balances and not people living paycheck to paycheck. So that was the origin of the mission of how do we provide basic, simple, free financial services. If you think about open banking and our partnership with Plaid, I don't know that we said that. Chime is a customer of Plaid. Consumer-controlled data allows us to offer these financial products, free, simple, transparent, et cetera, in a broader sense that are not limited by the current banking limitations. And even Director Chopra earlier was talking about credit scoring.
Right.
So credit scoring has been like the traditional way that you like look at somebody's financial health and then offer them the thing, or not offer them the thing, as the case may be. And now with open banking, you are able to, in a very responsible and more personalized way, with the control of the consumer, give people access to more financial services that they need, that allows them to make progress in their financial lives and utilize these products responsibly. And it is incumbent on us to make sure that it is responsible and that we're doing all the right things in the right regulatory frameworks. But that's what empowers a consumer and then changes an industry. So we are in lockstep in terms of open banking, being positive and doing it in the right way, and being one of the agents of change in that.
Yeah.
So I agreed with what Chopra was saying.
It is such a privilege to partner with you. I love the collaboration between the two organizations. I think it's such a great, you guys have just been such a great catalyst for the work that we've done in our roadmap and really pushing us forward.
Likewise, thank you. So Penny was just up here talking about the Future of Finance agenda and the policy recommendations that they have in the booklet that they left all of us. What do you hope to see Washington make in terms of how we make that vision a reality from a policy standpoint?
I mean, I talked about Fintech is here. I think open banking, hopefully, is here, and I'm excited about that policy. I think there's more that we can do. I think, again, kind of coming back to the notion of, I think the future here is really forged by bringing together these diverse groups of people, technologists, policymakers, customers, financial institutions, consumers, and really enabling us to think about how do we continue to innovate, but create the right balance for the consumer, and again, just continue to hold the consumer at the forefront, and that importance of choice and control.
I agree with that. To that end, since we have 56 seconds left, Bennett said we end on the quick hit.
Yep.
So why are you in Fintech, and what do you want to leave the audience with? What should they know?
I'm in Fintech because I want to make the world a better place. I want to increase access for everyone to the financial resources they need to build and scale the lives that they want to have. I believe it's our responsibility as technologists to hold those customers at the center of what we do, those consumers, and really sort of continue to innovate for them. And that's why I'm here. You?
I think ditto.
Yeah.
Can I say that?
Totally. Totally.
It's the millions of people that we serve, that their lives are changing every day as we put out products and services that are responsible, and we partner with people like Plaid, and that's why we come to work every day. And if I were going to leave the audience with something, try out the products, like be a Fintech user to kind of better understand it. Chime, Plaid, whatever. Any of the companies up here today, I think it really does give all of us a sense, like we could sit up here and talk about policy and we can talk about all these things, but I think being a user of the products really does help all of us get a better perspective. So
Good.
It says 0-0.
0-0, here we are.
You're awesome. Thank
you
you so
likewise.
much, Jen. It was
Pleasure to
great.
see
It was
you.
a pleasure. Thanks.